this is what we're going to create today in Framer. Here it is. And it is responsive. The remix link is going to be in the description. You're going to find all the cards and the carousel effect. Before we start, I want to give you 2 tips. First and foremost, for the sake of this video, I've created text and color styles, and I suggest you do the same when you start a project. And the second tip is, how did I get the colors and the text styles, and how do we get the images? And I'm going to show you a very cool, fast trick without having to download the images, and it's all in inspecting the page. I'm going to press Command Option I on Mac, Control Alt I on Windows, and I'm going to inspect the page and check the colors out and get the color hex codes. Instead of having to download the images, I'll just copy and paste them where I need them. And now you're gonna see that at some point we're gonna need this image, which is a bit larger. So when I try to copy and paste it directly into Framer, I'm gonna get this message. And the way to solve it is to compress it. So you have to download bigger images and compress them, but with smaller images, you can just copy and paste them into the project. Without further ado, let's get on with the tutorial. I'm going to create a frame, and this is going to be this container, and it's going to hold the text. And these, I'm only going to create 1 card for this tutorial, but I'm going to leave the remix link in the description where you're going to have multiple cards and you can play around with them and whatnot. So this is going to be the container for the text and the cards, and this is going to be a stack, fill, and a vertical direction, and align left. Let's add the text. We can just copy and paste it. I'll just paste the text and call it container, so I know what I'm working on. And because it's a container, I'm going to add its max width to 1100 pixels. Now the height's going to go to fit content, and now we are going to create another frame, which is going to be the cards container. This is going to be the cards container, and once again, fill and fit. Now let's add the card itself, and now we're going to finally be able to set this frames, or the stack, better said, to fit content. And now this thing is going to be distribute start. And in order to get the sizing right, just inspect once again and get the sizing. 372 width, 7112 height. Remove the background for both of these. For this, I'm going to select the image once again, get in here, copy image, and paste. Now, if this doesn't work, just open the image in a new tab. Get to that tab by pressing Control Tab on Mac, and same thing on Windows, and just copy image from here and paste it around the corners. Add some padding to this thing. Let's add some padding to the top and the bottom. I'm going to go for 56 and 56 for the bottom. And now that we have some padding, let's add the text stack here. So we're going to make this a stack, and we're going to add the text stack. So this is going to be the text stack. We'll distribute this start and fill, and this is going to be the text stack. Oops, this is going to be the text stack. Sorry. This is going to be the text stack, and I'm going to add the text, which is... So in order to copy the text, the best way to do it is just, without using some proper software, we can also use that, but inspect the thing until you get to the copy, and just copy it and paste it. And that's all there is to it. And then we can style it further. All right, let's add some padding. I would guess around, let's go for 30 top, 24 bottom, 24 right, 24 left, and 30 bottom. And I think that looks just fine. Add a gap of around 56. Yeah, looks good. We're going to create the button and the hover effect. In order to create the button is just a frame, which it's just a circle. So we'll just create a frame and set the radius to 1,000 pixels. Now we need the same width and height. I'm going to go for 32 and 32. The color is going to be dark gray, and let's add 2 frames here. They're going to be the plus button with a height of 2 and a width of around 14. And once again, just add a radius of 1,000 pixels. These are going to be light gray, duplicate, and rotate 90 degrees. Command Option K or Control Alt K on Windows, and I'm just going to call it plus button. Now, let's just create the hover state, and it's very easy to recreate. You don't have to change the colors. You're just going to play with opacity. And let's just set the opacity to 0.8, and this is going to be 1. There we go, and let's just play around with the animation, and maybe this is enough. Yep, looks good enough for me. Yep, looks really good. All right, now we're gonna place this here, and this is gonna be positioned. This is gonna be absolutely positioned, and around 16 pixels from the right and bottom. This is what it looks like. All right, now let's just create the hover state, and notice that if we create the hover state, which is super simple to create, just add more scale, and let's just create the animation curve, which I would guess is about an ease out that's probably a bit longer, and yeah, something like this. Let's see. Oops. Yep. Maybe something like this that's shorter. Yep. Yep. And now, as you can see, this is happening because we got overflow set to hidden, because this is it's growing bigger, and it's constrained by this with 1100. So let's just set the overflow to visible. And we also need to set the cards container, which also respects the max width here, to visible. And once we do that, we can see that we get the effect and the hover state of the button. Now we're going to create the overlay. So it's very, very simple to create. Advanced cameras, that's our card, and just press overlay, fixed. And we get this overlay here. But the thing is, the default overlay in Framer doesn't let you add this background blur effect, and so we're not going to work with this. We're going to create our own background, and I'm going to call it background overlay. I'm just going to call it background, and I'm going to set its color to black, the opacity to around 20. All right. 0, 0, 0, all 4 corners, because I want it to fill the entire screen. This is what we get for now, and we need to create background blur effect, which is getting into styles. Background blur, just set it to around 10, and maybe just, do we need to darken it a bit? Yeah, I would go for 25. Let's check it out. Now we need to add the effect, and we do that by adding the appear, on appear, fade in. Here we go. That's the effect, and let's check it out. Yeah, maybe it's quite slow. Now we need to add the whole thing, this thing, and because it's gonna be taller than the screen, we're gonna have to work on it outside of the overlay. And then we're going to put it inside. That's what she said. So in order to properly see what we're working on, that's the strategy we're going to implement. And let me show you what I mean. So we're going to add a frame inside of this background. Okay. And now I'm going to set this around 30 pixels from the top and around the corners. So as you can see, this is what happens. And let's just add the animation to this thing as well. Just when we dismiss it, we need to make sure that, let me show you. So when we press on this background, I want to close the overlay. So when we try it, see, the body needs to disappear before the background. So I need to add a, I need to get into the background and add a delay here, 0.1. And I'm going to make the disappearance effect of this body faster. So ease out, and I'm going to make this faster. All right, let's check it out. All right, let's set a width of 900 or maybe 1,000. Actually, I think 1,000 is enough. All right, we need to add the button and we need to make it stick to the top. So in order to make it stick, I can't have it be positioned absolute. So I need to put it in a stack. So I'm going to call this button container. And this is going to be the button, the container for the button. No fill. It's going to fill the thing. And this, I want distribution start. And this is the body container. I'm going to add the button container. I'm going to add the plus button here. And this thing is going to be a stack as well. A stack with the distribution set to and also the height set to fit. And let's add some padding and do it justice. So let's add 30 and maybe 30. And maybe 30 is too much. So maybe 24 and 24. 24. There you go. All right, this is the text stack. Align it to the left. And now, actually, I think this has got to be body medium. Come on. We need to add some padding to this whole thing. And for that, I'm going to need to create a stack for the whole thing. And the problem with that is that I can't have the padding be on the button container. So the best way to do it is just add a stack here, and I'm going to call it body content container. And this is going to have around 64 padding right, 64 left, and 64 bottom padding. And here it is. This is our top text stack or container, and this looks quite okay except for the gap. Let's get on to this part, and I'm gonna need to add another container, overlay cards container, and here I'm gonna add 3 cards. All right, let's just set it to fill. This is going to be a stack as well, and with the gap of around 16, I'd say. Yeah, just distribute start, and the height is going to be fit, and just remove the background from both of these, and this is going to be called stunning made simple, just so we know what we're working on. And I'm going to show you the way to do it. I'm going to create one, then duplicate, and just change the content. It's super simple. I'll show you. Stunning made simple. This is going to be a stack, and with another 2 stacks. And this is going to be the top text container once again. I know the naming isn't perfect, and as you can see, when it gets taller than the screen, we can't work on it properly. So the best way to do it is just get the body, just call it overlay body, and let's just take it out and work on it. Okay, we need to set this height to fit content in order to see what we're working on. And there we go. Let's play around with the height until it looks perfect. Now, 550, and let's lock the aspect ratio. Now, we also need to around the corners. Let's check it out. Maybe more padding here on the top text container image. It's way better, but the padding is crazy. Actually, I think it's more like 80 and 80. Yep, crazy padding. There it is. Crazy padding, but yep. So as I said, just duplicate these 2 times and then, oops, sorry. Let's just change the naming, the content, and we're done. Keep in mind, we might need to play around with these settings to get the right aspect ratio for all of these images. As you can see, modify the height of this one to 450, this one to 610, and this one 550. But we're there. Now we need to make this scrollable. And in order to do that, first and foremost, we're going to have to set the height to fixed. And the height's going to be, now let's put it back. And let's center it. Let's open the overlay. And let's bring it 30 pixels from the top. And now we are going to have to set the... so this is the overlay body. Now, in order to make it, oops, I'm going to have to put it here in the background. And in order to make the scrollable, just set the overflow of the background to visible. To scroll. And there we go. Now, let's set it to 30 pixels from the top. All right. And there we have it. There we go. There it is. Now, one more thing. Let's make it dismissible when we press this button, and let's make it look like a close button. In order to do that, just rotate it 45 degrees so it looks like an X. Interactions, close overlay. There we go. Done. And now let's try it out. There we go. It is fully functional, and boom. As you can see, when we press the whole body, it disappears. The problem is when we press the background, the whole thing disappears, obviously, because that's what we said. But as you can see, that also makes it that when we press the thing, it disappears. So in order to achieve the same thing without having this disappear, is we're going to have to take it out of the background and create another frame. And that's going to be our overlay container, overlay body container. We'll set all of these corners to 0. We'll remove the background, and it's just going to be a container so that we get the full scroll. And the overflow is going to be the scroll, and there we go. Just set it 30 pixels from the top. Set it 30 pixels from the top. Option H to horizontally center it. And in order to be able to press this shouldn't be pressed at all. So the best way to achieve that is pointer events to none. And this is the overlay body, and it needs to have the pointer events set to auto so that the user can select the text, can press this button, but at the same time can also press this and dismiss it. So I know it's just a bit complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's not going to be that hard. Later update, if you use the same technique we used to implement the background and also the dismiss interaction on the background on this frame, you will not be able to scroll on mobile because this has to have the pointer event set to none. And you scroll on a touch screen, you scroll by pressing on, and I mean by pressing on this thing. So in order to be able to press, you need to have, because this stack is contained in this frame, you need to have this frame's pointer events set to auto. So in order to achieve the effect where you are still able to, let me get to the mobile breakpoint, where you're still able to dismiss this while also being able to scroll, see? You're still able to dismiss this by pressing on the background on this thing outside of the container of the wide container itself. Well, what you're gonna have to do is, this is not the most elegant solution, but it works. So maybe guys in the comments, if you have more ideas or better ideas, just let me know in the comment section. I would love to learn more. So I created an empty frame, or should I say a frame without a background, that I only used as a dismiss trigger, and it has the interaction set on it, and the background no longer has it. The reason I did not go with this solution is because we have to figure out the height of this card, and we do it by just pressing fixed, and we see the height. And then I usually like to round around 100, add around 100 pixels for padding. Now we can set it back to fit content. And this is what I did. As you can see, I added around maybe 120, 130 pixels for the padding, but it's not as elegant of a solution. So let me show you what I mean. See? If I don't set the height properly, this is what happens to the background. And that's why we need a different, frame for the dismiss interaction. Now, the way I made this, let me show you what I mean. See, this thing spans to the bottom of this thing. In fact, I could make it even shorter. Maybe 1590 is better. So if we set it to, for example, I don't know, just viewport height, 100% of viewport height, this is what's going to happen. See, and now I cannot dismiss it anymore. So it's not the most elegant solution because I have to get in here and get the height of the whole thing. So it's not automatically going to adjust. But this is the best solution I found so far to be able to scroll and also dismiss this thing, not only by pressing the X button, but also by pressing outside of this white cards container. Now I'm gonna make it responsive. I'm gonna create 2 breakpoints, and now let's work on a tablet. Or maybe let's add a bit more, just 30 and 30 padding on tablet. And here's our first problem, right? This thing looks okay, but okay, so we're checking out the tablet version, and as you can see, the text is made responsive. You can already make a lot of progress by just using the breakpoints feature. And I'm not going to bore you with this. This is the simple part. It's automatically done for you by Framer, and you can just tweak it, as you can see. This is a biggie. So let's get into the overlay and let's check it out. So the overlay body should be around, I would guess, let's try 84%. And you know what? It already looks okay. Let's try it out. You know what? It's not that bad apart from the huge padding. So let's add, maybe let's get into this, the content container. Let's work on the padding a tiny bit. So we've got some right padding of 64. Let's add 32 maybe, because we're on tablet. Same for bottom and left. All right, let's check out the phone. First and foremost, let's center this text, this stack. Let's center it, and let's center the card as well. So distribute center. And 80% with 600 height. Looks fine because we're on a phone, and this could be smaller, and we can achieve that simply by adding a transform scale of 0.8. Now when we open it up, now this is a biggie. So this has to go, and this has to be around, let's try, you know what? Let's try 100. It's not bad. Let's work on, yeah, we're going to fix this in a bit. And if we want to fix it now, we just need to add the Z index to 0. All right. We need to work on the massive padding that we added to the container. To the overlay body. And so this is what button. See, this is why it's very useful to name your, so the content container. It's a huge padding. What if we get away with 32 because we're on mobile? And this is the top text, and let's work on this on the top text container. All right, top text container. I think it's okay. Yep, and we're good for now. And let's just set the cards container height to fit. It already is. And now we also need to make this button smaller because we're on mobile. And you know what? 0.9 is okay. This one is too small. Let's check it out. There we go. It's not bad at all. So that's been it. As you can see, it's not that complicated as long as you master a couple of things in Framer. And as I said, the remix link is going to be in the description if you want to play around and check it out for yourself. Thanks for watching.